I'm back on. I invested in myself, that mean I'm black on.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Process Sports Radio. Once again, I'm your host, Justin. We have Balraj from More Than Sports back here. Balraj, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, my sir?
Well, I'm all right. It's almost Christmas
Perfect.
time,
You were to say perfect.
Yeah. No, I'm not perfect. I'm all right. But yeah, I'm doing good. We're gonna talk about some sport, big news of the NBA.
NBA training camp, bro.
NBA training camps around the corner.
Mhm.
NBA start of the season's around the corner, which is gonna be really exciting. And we got a big trade that happened in the NBA, so we're gonna talk about that. And we're also gonna talk about our top 5 favorite athletes of any sport of all time. But before, please make sure you follow us on Instagram, at Process Sports, at More Than Sports, TikTok. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, all of that. It's the same. Thank you again for your support. But let's go right into it, bro. So this week finally happened. Russell Westbrook got traded to the Washington Wizards for John Wall and a first-round pick. What was your immediate reaction when you first heard the trade?
It's like a wash-off trade. I don't know what both teams are doing. To me, it made no sense. If I'm James Harden and I have the opportunity to go play with Kyrie and Kevin Durant, and then they got me Boogie Cousins. I love my boy Boogie Cousins. He could be potentially good. And then we get John Wall. I mean, John Wall has been meh-ish throughout the years.
Yeah.
And he's had some big playoff runs, but it really hasn't led to anywhere. Again, I'm not an athlete, so I'm not going to hate on him. And but I mean, like, for Russ, he gets to go to the East. I think this low-key benefits Russ more just because he gets to go play with like a shooter. We've already kind of seen this with Kevin Durant. We've seen it with Paul George, and now we saw it with James Harden. Now he gets to go back he gets to go to the East and just gets to have the ball in his hand majority of the time. No worries. Reunites with his boy, Scotty Brooks.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently they love each other, so I guess that kind of works out. But John Wall going to Houston, it seems like it's a big, because they have a big three if you look at it now. But it's kind of like a mad big three because you got James Harden, you got Boogie Cousins, and now you got John Wall. John Wall and Boogie go back way back when they played in Kentucky for the Wildcats. So I guess maybe they have
a Big Blue Nation reunion there.
Big Blue. I guess maybe they have some sort of chemistry because they did dominate that playoff tournament, but I think they did lose that year.
They didn't. Yeah, that's the year Kentucky had. It was John Wall, Boogie Cousins. I think Eric Bledsoe's on that team too.
Yeah, I think so too. It's
Patrick Patterson.
Yeah, flashback.
Yeah,
heavy flashback.
And that was they were supposed to win it all and they didn't win.
Didn't win.
What's it called? It was I'm like I said, to get into my immediate reaction of it, like you said, it was like a wash trade. I'm like, well, it doesn't really do much. I think the biggest thing is Washington got better because Westbrook stays more healthy than John Wall.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's really it. Like, I mean, they both have the same, pretty much identical contracts.
Yeah.
Pretty much identical style players, right? Yeah, Westbrook, does average a little bit more triple doubles and stuff like that. But both athletic point guards, or we'll see how athletic John Wall is coming off injury and stuff like that. But for me, like you said, it doesn't really push the needle much. I think Houston, the writing's on the wall. Like, it's time to dismantle it and rebuild, right? Try to get rid of Harden. It looks like Harden does not want to be there anyway. The team was working out this week, and he's partying with Lil Baby, giving him $100,000 and a Richard Mille watch. So I mean, like, I don't think James Harden wants to be in Houston. Clearly, right? Right? He's not with the team. I know I was reading the new coach, I think is Steven Silas or whatever his name is. He's like, I'm gonna give James Harden some space. So if they're in the let's give you some space part of the relationship, that's probably not a good sign. Probably means that this relationship's coming to an end.
Usually that's what it means.
Usually, yeah, it's gonna come to an end. But like you said, like, I think Westbrook and Beal in a backcourt will probably make the playoffs in the East. I think you and I can both agree on that.
They should, yeah.
I think they're probably gonna be like, they're not, of course, better than Milwaukee, right? They're not better than Miami. I don't think they're better than Toronto either. Boston probably not either. They're probably like a 5th or 6th seed in the East, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Potentially cause some issues in the first round or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a lateral trade, dude. Like, I don't know what if it doesn't really, like I said, it doesn't do much for anybody, to be honest with you. Maybe a fresh start might be good for John Wall too, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he does refine his game and maybe some magic happens between him and Harden. But like you said, the chance of that happening are slim to none because Harden needs the ball, and Harden does not
Yeah.
want to give the ball up. And what does John Wall need? He needs the ball, right?
Yeah.
John Wall's an off-ball player,
Yeah.
right? So, and I want to see how the dynamic between Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook play off. Because Bradley Beal averaged 30 points last year.
Yeah.
Like people
Sleeper.
don't realize that Bradley Beal averaged 30 points last year, and I don't think he made an all. Did he even make an All NBA team? Right?
Did he not? I mean,
I
it's
don't.
Washington,
He
I
wasn't
guess.
an All Star this year, right?
That'd be
It's
tough.
just like, and it's like, well, people forget like Bradley Beal, like, is a really cold player too, right?
Yeah.
But it's clear that Washington want to build around Beal. I think that's like their
Yeah.
guy now. So we'll see what happens. I don't think it's gonna work particularly well for both of them. It's kind of just here's you take our problem, we'll take your problem, and we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
I don't see like one team particularly winning more so than the other one. If we're talking relative championship aspect or anything like that.
I mean, the problem with both these point guards is that they're in the wrong era, in my opinion.
100%.
Both of them can't really shoot because I saw Russell Westbrook when they were playing the Lakers. They were just like not even like 10 feet, just like shoot it, we'll live with it. John Wall's hit like a couple big shots, but like even his shooting,
he's not consistent, bro. He's not consistent. That's the thing.
So when you're playing with James Harden, you have to adapt to playing off ball, and I don't.
You got to be a
how
spot
John
up
Wall
shooter
does.
when you play with James Harden too.
But he's been working hard. Like I've been seeing John Wall.
Yeah,
like,
I
he's
saw.
performing
I know
pretty well.
KD came on and said that he looks really good, but like I was like kind of like, okay, well, can you really take that much stock into practice or like run like playing, running and stuff like that? Like it's not an NBA level like type of physique or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, and plus, you know, John Wall's 30 years old. He's had an Achilles injury, and it's hard to come off with, man. Like it's definitely gonna be now. Of course, like we want to see him do well and stuff like that, but I just don't see John Wall or James Harden this is working at all.
What do you think about the Boogie acquisition for the Rockets? Because I think
Again,
that
like I said, like Boogie is like,
has been healthy for like the last few years.
I don't like this thing. Like I really want to say, I think Boogie when he was in New Orleans and in Sacramento was at his peak of his powers. He was just, you know, supreme passing at the center position. He could handle the ball. He could just pull up. He was starting to pull away and shoot from three, right? And it just unfortunately, the Achilles injury and then the other injuries and stuff that all piled up and kind of derailed his career. Would I love to see him get back on track? Yes, but I just don't see it happening now. I just think it's too many injuries. He's lost his athleticism. He's older now, right? Maybe playing with John Wall might spark him, but I don't see much happening.
They basically just gave James Harden like, here we're gonna give you Boogie Cousins potential, but he's risk very high player, and then we'll give you John Wall as well, very high risk
it's like
player.
and I saw somebody tweet out saying like, oh, like run it, like Houston Rockets got a squad now. No, they don't, man. They got a bunch of what ifs, right?
They
What
got
if
a
James
squad
Harden
if it's like injury free.
Yeah, injury free, and if everybody fits. But
Yeah.
if this was like 5 years ago, then yeah, this team's loaded. But it's not 5 years ago, dude. Like it's not. I don't think it's gonna work in my personal opinion. I just think that Washington might make the playoffs, and that's probably the bar. That's it, right? I don't think Houston's a playoff team unless James Harden goes crazy and drags them into there. But then again, will James Harden be in Houston in a couple weeks?
I think he's already mentally checked out.
I think so too. Like I think James Harden's done with Houston. He doesn't want to be a part of it, the situation, right? I think he wants out. I think, although this is Brooklyn's the only option, I could see him being so desperate he might open up his list to maybe a Philly or
New
some other team.
Knicks.
I don't know about the Knicks, bro, because I don't think anybody wants to go to the Knicks.
If James Harden ended up in New York, oh my God.
Yeah,
bro,
I mean, like he would end up in New York, but then he might just turn into Carmelo Anthony again, and like I said, he's never gonna win a title with the Knicks, right? So it depends on what James Harden wants. If James Harden wants the championship, he's gonna want to go to Brooklyn, right? If he wants to be the man still and be the ball dominant guy, he's gonna go anywhere else, right?
I mean,
now,
did he reject $50 million from the Houston Rockets contract?
Exactly. He rejected. If you reject $50 million a year for $100 million, is basically what he turned down. You don't want to be there, man. Like I don't care what anybody's. Like if you offered me $50 million to stay there anywhere in the world, I'd stay there. That's $50 million.
Yeah,
I get it. James Harden's made a lot of money in his career, right? But $50 million is still $50 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know, man. Like it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with the Rockets. Like that's the biggest storyline next to like will the Lakers repeat.
Yeah.
One thing with the NBA I want to talk to you about was I was reading it yesterday. It was Paul George saying that he wants to retire a Clipper, blah, blah, blah. And it was funny seeing, like, he said he never wanted to leave Indiana. He said he never wanted to leave Oklahoma City. Now he's saying this. Like, do you think Paul George lasts the season with the Clippers?
Technically, he wasn't a free agent in either of those situations. He got traded. So I guess.
I mean, but, like, did he force his way out of both those situations, though?
I think he did.
He did. He forced his way to Indiana, and he forced his way out of Oklahoma City.
I mean, that's a kind of like a weird interview that he gave because he was kind of like ripping Doc.
Yeah, man. Like, he was ripping Doc. And that's the one thing about Paul George, man. It's just like, just own up to the fact that you have not performed to your level in the playoffs, right? Like, just don't, like I don't understand why you're throwing Doc under the bus. Like, I think Doc. I remember when they first lost, Doc was kind of blaming the whole bubble situation and stuff like that, and they weren't conditioned and stuff like that. I guess, like, they left a little bit of turmoil and stuff, but, like, dude, just own up to the fact. Like, I saw Kawhi say, I own up to it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Why just own up to it and say, like, hey, man, like, I fucked up. Like, I just didn't perform. I came up small, right? Rather than, this is adding more gas to the fire. People want to hate on the Clippers, right?
Yeah.
So,
but a lot of people do feel that, like, I've been, like, listening to other podcasts, was just that Paul George is a bit more skilled than Kawhi Leonard.
Of course. Paul, I think we talked about this before, right? Like, Paul George, when his game is on, dude, he's like one of the most smoothest bucket getters in the NBA. Like, his game is so smooth, he's uberly talented, but it's on this aspect of it right here, bro. Like, he loses it on the mental side of it.
So what he was saying was that Doc had him come off like more off ball screens, coming off pin downs, and just like jumpers. He's like, that's
like,
not something
made him play more like JJ Redick or something like that.
He's like, a lot. Like, do you think who's the new coach again? It's Ty Lue, right?
Ty Lue, yeah.
So do you think Kawhi Leonard is like he runs it on the Clippers, but
clearly he does. He doesn't even live in LA. He still lives in San Diego.
Yeah, but like, do you think it would make sense because Paul George clearly isn't satisfied on what he said? Is like, do they run their offense through PG, and then Kawhi is kind of like the second fiddle and then just takes over, or do you think they still run their offense through Kawhi and Paul George?
You gotta run it through Kawhi, dude. Kawhi is the guy that they got, right? They got PG because Kawhi told them to get PG, right?
Yeah.
It's Kawhi's team. Now, if this thing goes bad again this year, man, I don't think Kawhi stays. I don't think PG stays. I think they might move off both of them, right? Like,
the Clippers are just cursed.
Honestly, dude, like, I think, like, if the Clippers don't win this year, why would they stay? Like, why would, like, think about how much hatred they're getting out there now, right? Like,
especially if the Lakers repeat.
Well, if the Lakers repeat and the Lakers clearly have a dynasty in the making, and there's no point if you stay. You might as well go back to the East. Kawhi, come back to Toronto, right? Try to get a chance to win a title back in Toronto.
Valid, yeah.
I'm not even like I swear, like, I've been telling people this too. Like, I think if the Lakers. The Clippers flounder and something goes wrong this year, and Kawhi goes to free agency. Raptors have cap space, man. Kawhi, Masai's still there. You never know, right? You never.
How
know.
is Toronto's cap situation looking?
Essentially, next year their cap's gonna just have Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet.
So that means they could hypothetically sign Kawhi and another max player.
Nah, I think it's another max player, maybe like a near max player.
Giannis take the discount.
I don't know about that, but I don't know what's gonna happen with Giannis, but I don't know, man. I definitely think the Clippers are. If it doesn't go well this year, I think they could trade PG by the trade deadline.
Do you think PG and Kawhi have the same relationship that like D Wade and LeBron had? Remember the first year where they were trying to like figure it out, and then D Wade went to LeBron. Like,
I don't see Kawhi going to Paul George and being, hey, it's your team now. I'll take a step back.
Yeah, no way.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Kawhi's wired like that. I don't think, because think about it, Kawhi came to LA last year and it was like, it's Kawhi's town now. Kawhi's the king of LA. Blah blah blah. Right?
Yeah.
I don't see him going to. And I don't think Paul George has it in him to be a number one lead on a team to win a championship. That's just my personal opinion. I think he's a good number two.
Yeah.
But I just don't think he has the mental strength to be a number one and that leader. So I think the Clippers are a really, really interesting thing of what the hell is going to happen with them, right? But yeah, I don't exactly. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. But dude, I'm actually so excited. The NBA will be back in like what day is it today? It's December the 5th. It's 17 days. The NBA will be back, and it just feels like just yesterday the Lakers had won the title.
Yeah, LeBron made an appearance on a podcast.
He did on Road
Trip.
I'm sad. on with Richard Jefferson, and he was talking about it, and he was talking all about their new acquisitions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, they got the reigning sixth man, a champion, of Marc Gasol, who apparently has LeBron's Defensive Player of the Year trophy at his house.
Yeah.
So, are the Lakers a shoo-in to repeat this year?
I mean, I was like awfully surprised by like LeBron's confidence when he was talking on the podcast. Like it just seemed like they were cool, collect. Like we can repeat. I was like, damn, LeBron, I love that confidence. I guess because I think they do repeat, but I feel like a lot of people have been saying like KD's been looking nasty in he's just been hooping on the side. Yeah. So, I mean, the only team that realistically scares me is those two because they're just different type of breeds of scoring.
Yeah, man, I think you're right. Like, I kind of wish if Clay was healthy, like, we would have saw, like, that would have made it even more interesting. Because I think that, I think we talked about before, like, if Golden State was at full strength, they would have given the Lakers a run for their money.
Yeah.
But like I said, dude, the West, I mean, basically the same West as last year, plus Golden State, and Houston got worse. Right,
basically, yeah.
So I mean, like, I don't think Utah is gonna do anything. Portland, you know, Melo's back. I like the addition of Rocco and stuff like that, but I don't think Portland has the dog to beat the Lakers, right? I don't see anybody in the West that has a dog that has the skill to beat the Lakers. I don't think the Bucks have a chance to make the finals now. They didn't get Bogdanovich, right?
Yeah.
I don't see the Bucks making the finals either. I think it's gonna be a Lakers Nets final. I think that's what it's shaping up to be now.
Miami low-key could sneak in again.
Miami. Now the one thing is, bro, Kyrie's already on his stuff now, bro. He's saying he's not gonna talk to the media this year.
That's good. That's very good.
It is, I guess, but I mean, like, I don't know, man. Like, I just kind of wish Kyrie just laid low and just didn't make any noise.
He is
maybe him not.
Maybe.
But here's the thing, though. Him not talking to the media is gonna make it a really big story.
It is, right? Definitely. Yeah.
It's gonna be like a whole Marshawn Lynch type of thing where he's not gonna talk to the media. It's gonna be an even bigger issue. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Right. I just kind of wish Kyrie just played it cool. Just played it cool, right? Like.
Yeah.
That's not how he's wired, though. Kyrie's clearly not a regular dude in that aspect, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, you know, also it's like, I have to see KD and Kyrie fit well together first before I really, really put them in that. The East is so wide open, in my opinion, still too, right? You don't know, right? It's such an unknown because KD's coming back from injury. How is he going to mesh with Kyrie? The Lakers are pretty much, I think they're the clear-cut favorites because they're the champs, and they got better and younger.
Yeah, and they have like a good locker room, like good team chemistry for that. People, I feel like,
when you have a leader like the LeBron, that's what's going to happen.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think the Lakers are definitely going to be the heavy favorites to repeat again, which is kind of expected, and we'll see what happens. You know, LeBron just signed a new deal. AD signed a new deal. Perhaps LeBron figures something out with Bronny James when he comes in for the draft, and we'll see what happens then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like the Lakers are going to be a force for the next few years at least.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, let's slide into our feature topic of the day today. We're going to be talking about your 5 favorite athletes of all time in any sport. Yeah. So, Balraj, what is your? Let me go.
We'll go one by one.
One by one. Okay, you go. I'll let you go first.
Okay, I'm gonna start off with the first player any sport that I ever watched. Right. Yeah. So I watched Marcus Naslund for the Vancouver Canucks.
You stole my number one, man.
So young me is just there, switch over to the channel, seeing like Sportsnet from SpongeBob to, I was like, yo, who's this guy, right? Well, this guy got a nice, like, Marcus Naslund back in the day was so filthy. Oh my God. Like, dude, the guy, I inspired, I was like, when you get hockey sticks that would have like the name on the player? Like Naslund. So I was like, yo, I need a Marcus Naslund stick. Yeah. And then I got it. Then I remember Marcus Naslund had like one of the deadliest wrist shots I've ever seen.
100%, bro.
And me just being young, I was like, I need a Nazi jersey. I need this. So I got like a Marcus Naslund jersey, put it up, and it's just like everything in my room was like Marcus Naslund. And I got obsessed to the point where I was like, I'm not gonna watch anymore like this like cartoon shit. I'm gonna wake up every single day. The Canucks, Marcus Naslund. I love watching Marcus Naslund, and he's such a humble dude.
Dude, you took the number one right on the nose, man. That was the first athlete I ever was like a huge fan of, Marcus Dazzler, bro.
Yeah.
He was such a, and here's the thing. Now that I got older, right? Like people, like, I get it. This people love the Sedins and stuff like that in Vancouver because they're like the best players ever in Canucks history, right?
Yeah.
But people like slander Marcus Naslund so much, and it pisses me off so much, is because look, dude, this guy was the best hockey player in the game of hockey. Yeah. Not only scored the most goals, had the most points, and stuff like that, but he was so smooth out there on the ice, dude. Like, yes, the Canucks didn't have playoff success then, but dude, Marcus Naslund was such a good player, man, and people need to give him his flowers more, man. Like, Marcus Naslund was so, like you said, his wrist shot was so lethal, man. He could pull up on the ice on the center circle and rip a shot in. So accurate, so deadly accurate. And the one thing is, he's used a wood stick. So for all you guys that don't play hockey, never played hockey, you see, like, of course, the lighter composite sticks. The wood stick is, of course, heavier. And he would flex that thing and get that whip on that puck, and it was nasty, dude.
If you could flex a stick, even if you played like ball hockey or any other hockey with a wooden stick and get a good, you're like, this guy's different.
Dude, I don't know what it was, man, but he was like one of the last players to use a wood stick. Yeah. And just the way he shot the puck, dude, it was so nice. And his game was so silky, man. And like you said, he wasn't so brash or anything like that. He was humble and he was quiet like that. And like I said, Marcus Naslund definitely was number one for me.
I think he's the only Canuck to make an NHL cover.
Only one to make the EA Sports one, which is the only one that really matters.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Kessler is on one of those the NHL 2K ones, which is not NBA 2K. It's like the version of it. But yeah, Marcus, NHL 2005. I remember I got it for Christmas, and when I was I got it, and I was literally like the happiest kid of my life. Like, I swear to God, I was like, oh my God, for PlayStation 2. I was like the happiest day of my life. But yeah, Marcus Naslund. All right, let's go to number 2. Who's your number 2 guy?
Number 2, I got my boy. So once I started watching that, and then I started slowly transitioning to football. And this is like pretty obvious, I guess, just because most people have it. But Michael Vick. This is like a no-brainer from like back in like the 2000s era. So I'm starting to watch football, and I started to pick up the game, and I see this guy on ETL, and I'm just like, God damn, that dude is just... Quarterbacks don't play like this. Back then, especially quarterbacks didn't play like that.
Yeah. And back then, they're all just standing statues in the pocket, right?
And Michael Vick is out here throwing dimes. And he had one thing I feel like people really underestimate about Michael Vick is they all loved the when he scrambled, made those amazing plays. The dude had a cannon of an arm.
Just flick it.
Left-handed. I'm left-handed.
Yeah. He was left.
And I'm like, God damn, it comes out with velocity, just like, I was like...
It was on a rope too, bro. You know, some quarterbacks were like wobbly spirals. It was so tight and just on a rope,
oh my God, dude. Yeah. And I remember, and he played on Atlanta with that jersey, the throwback Atlanta jerseys. It was just...
Those were the most popular jerseys, bro. I still, like, if I could find a number 7 Michael Vick Atlanta Falcons jersey, that red one or the black one, with dude, those are such clean jerseys, bro. It was the nicest jersey out there.
Yeah. What I liked about Vic was that he kind of had that like Allen Iverson to him, where like he brought a culture to football, where you don't have to be the traditional quarterback where you sat in the pocket throwing dimes left, right. No, Michael Vick's like, I can do that, but like, watch how fast I am. Crossover, just this way. I'm like, it was just mesmerizing to me. I'm like, yo, and he's like undersized playing this position. And even though they didn't win stuff, but he was still getting his team with what he had at the time to like conference semifinals or even that. Remember?
Yeah, he took his team to the NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia team.
That team was insane.
Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens, Brian Dawkins.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude. Like Vic was legit in Atlanta, and the funny thing was, watching his evolution from when he was at his peak of his powers in Atlanta, and then he kind of, of course, went to jail and came out. He came out as a better true quarterback in Philadelphia. Remember? Because he studied the game more, right? Yep. He studied the playbook more. He spent more time on watching film. Yeah. And you saw that. Like, I was watching, I forget what it was. I saw it on Instagram. It was Deshaun Jackson. Yeah. He was talking about they called the Monday Night Massacre when they beat the Redskins by like
that was
a bunch of points, right? Yep. And he's like. Michael Vick was on such a hot streak that year where he came into the huddle and he's like, all right, I'm going to throw a 70-yard bomb to Deshaun Jackson on the first play. And Deshaun Jackson was like, oh shit, like I got to like bring my thing up, bring my A game here, right? Yeah. And he's like, dude, Michael Vick came in, did the bootleg, and he saw me wide open. He flung it. He's like, he just flicked his wrist, and I saw the ball just come in the air. And he's like, I had to turn the jets on to go get it. And that's Deshaun Jackson, bro. He's like one of the fastest wide receivers I've ever seen. And he's like, dude, I'm telling you right now, Michael Vick, just like you said, bro, if Michael Vick injuries didn't have Michael Vick in Philadelphia, they could have made some real damage in Philadelphia.
100%. Michael, like one thing I want people to realize is like when you throw a football, it's really hard. If you're trying to throw it deep,
it's not throwing a baseball or tennis ball, man. It's like,
Michael Vick made it look effortless when he threw the ball down the field. It's just like a woof, and it had so much velocity on it, and it'd be perfect. And I'm like, if Michael Vick did it, I felt like for him, he I think in his mind he always realized he was the fastest player on the field at all times. It did not matter. So for him, it was like, I'm running and then I'll throw. But I always thought if he thought it the other way around, he would have been amazing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. But my number 2, and you mentioned him earlier, Mr. Allen Iverson.
Mr. Allen Iverson.
I think for me growing up, like, of course, that when Allen Iverson was coming up and stuff like that, like, I remember, like, I didn't get into basketball until I really, like, when I was, like, I'm saying, like, 2005, 2006, and Allen Iverson was, like, the it guy then, right? Like, he was, like, the guy in the NBA, right? And, you know, he was different. Right, he was wearing the throwback jerseys, getting his hair braided on the side of the bench, right? And I think Allen Iverson was something fresh that the NBA never saw. He's a cultural icon, right? I put that thing up on Instagram a couple of days, last week, where there's an old interview we had with Stephen A. Smith, where he was basically talking about how he's like, he took accountability for everything he's ever done, and he was saying, like, there's another part of this clip where he was telling, like, because I think it was LeBron's first or second. He was like, "Look, like, they're waiting for you to mess up so they can come after you." He's like, "They come after me all the time because I'm different, but that's who I am. I'm not fake. I'm not a phony, right?" Yeah. And that's what made Allen Iverson so great. Like, I'll never forget, like, this one thing that LeBron said was always, like, just truly showed me how great Allen Iverson was. Where he said, "I never wanted to be Michael Jordan. I wanted to be Allen Iverson because Allen Iverson came up in the same way like all these players came up, like LeBron or whatever." Through like a tough circumstance, stuff like that. Yeah. And he made it cool to wear a sleeve, made it cool to have tattoos from your head to toe, have braids or whatever like that, right? Like, it definitely, bro, Allen Iverson was such a cultural influencer, right? Michael Jordan might be the greatest player of all time, but Allen Iverson might have had the greatest impact on the game of basketball in all sports possibly than Michael Jordan, because Allen Iverson made it cool to be who you wanted to be out there and not have anything, not be afraid, of doing it. Like, the man had the coolest commercials with Jadakiss. I don't know if you've ever seen those commercials. Yeah, like, those are the sickest commercials ever. Yeah. With the Reebok The Answers, bro. Yeah. Like, I think Allen Iverson, like, he was not only a killer on the court, one of the best players of all time, but his cultural impact, man, is just something that will never ever be seen before, because all these athletes now have all this individuality. Where did they get it from? They got it from Allen Iverson, right? So. And plus, he created the NBA dress code too.
Yeah, I mean, Allen Iverson is just like, you can't talk about basketball and not talk about Allen Iverson.
And that's the definition of a true greatness. Like, you cannot tell the story of basketball without mentioning Allen Iverson's name.
I felt like Allen Iverson was that dude where, you know, when the teacher tells you, like, here's the rules and you better not break them. Allen Iverson's like, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna be me. And if you like it, you like it. Other than that, I don't care. Because then
he was so polarizing, bro. Like,
he paved the way for everybody else.
Yeah, he did. Like, and that's what makes him so great, in my opinion. Was that AI was like, no, I'm gonna wear braids. No, I'm gonna have a tattoo. I'm gonna wear a shooting sleeve. I'm gonna wear a mink coat. I'm gonna wear throwback jerseys, right? Yeah. Like, and that's what people love, man. He was being himself. He wasn't being like, you know how we get on other athletes for not speaking their mind or speaking their opinion, man. He had the most iconic rant of all time. We're talking about practice, man. Not the game that I go out there and die for. Not the game you see me play. You see me play in the arena. No. We're talking about practice. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's just one of the athletes that has one of the greatest influences of all time in sports, in my opinion.
I honestly feel like Allen Iverson, especially like the era that we come from, like like during our time, we saw older kids, right? Especially in our community and where we kind of like grew up. It's like, I saw people where I was watching them. I also watched Allen Iverson. So many kids that were older than me were copying exactly what Allen Iverson had. The jersey, tuck it in, halfway baggy jersey on one side. Oh my God, it was different.
Yeah, dude. Like, you know, like, I mean, like, that whole, like, Allen Iverson, like, that whole era, like, you know, when we were younger, like, the whole Iverson, Michael Vick, all these guys, they kind of like, these younger kids won't understand, bro. Like, they won't understand, like, how different that era was. Like there was really not any social media then. There
Nope.
wasn't any of instant access and stuff like that. But dude, those guys were some of the coolest guys you'll ever see. Like it's unbelievable.
Easily.
Let's go. Who's your number 3?
Number 3, this guy, I don't think he gets enough respect. Nobody really talks about him anymore. Again, he's from our era. Sorry to the young generation, like who are these guys talking about?
By the way, if you don't know anybody we're talking about, just go look it up on Google.
Yeah. So my third home, I'm gonna go with T-Mac, Tracy McGrady.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Orlando Magic, Tracy McGrady.
Oh, T-Mac, my God. At one point in my life, I thought T-Mac was the best player I ever saw. And you could probably agree with me when T-Mac was on Orlando cooking people, bro. Like, it didn't matter with that throwback jersey. Oh my God, the Orlando throwback jersey with the stars. Oh my God.
Have you seen that one time where when he was in Orlando in the playoffs to play Detroit? He dunked on that one guy and LeBron just got out of his chair.
Yeah, LeBron's like, what?
That was high school LeBron, right? Like definitely, dude. Tracy McGrady, injuries never derailed him, and I think if he wasn't like a workout warrior or anything like that, but his game and his skill set was, oh my God, man. His game was like, how we say Paul George's game was so smooth?
Yeah.
Tracy McGrady's game was even smoother.
Yeah. For what I saw with T-Mac was like, I felt he had the perfect physique for basketball. Like a lot of people think that you got to be like jacked, ripped, like look like LeBron. LeBron's just a different, like just leave LeBron out of like.
He's a different thing, bro. Just don't even just leave him out of the
like if you look at the build of like a Kobe Bryant, T-Mac, they had like a similar build, like slender,
they weren't buffed up, but they were leaned out and they had had athletic ability and they were long. They had long arms and stuff like that.
They had good basketball physiques to play the game how it worked. T-Mac had a jumper that to me was like, just catch it in. Remember he scored like 15 points?
14 or 15 points in like 30 seconds. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dude, T-Mac was legit. I remember I had a Tracy McGrady Adidas poster in my room when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Tracy McGrady was like, I wasn't a big T-Mac fan, but I definitely think T-Mac, dude, he was like, his game was like he was a Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
He was smooth with the handle, and he could shoot the ball, bro. He could shoot the ball.
People like T-Mac's offensive game was so insane that even Kobe was like, "Yo, like this dude was bad." Like I had trouble with T-Mac. And another thing, like T-Mac, like a lot of people remember, like we remember from like Orlando, right? On Houston, his like first couple years, the man was different because he played with the Yow. Remember?
Yeah.
I remember that dunk on Sean Bradley.
Yeah, dude, he just ripped Sean Bradley a new one out there, man.
Oh my God.
Like, dude, T-Mac was. I think T-Mac was like in his prime. He was like, how people say, and what MVP Paul George was like, bro. T-Mac was there, but T-Mac had a little bit higher offensive ceiling.
Yeah.
If you think about Paul George, not this past year, but the year before in Oklahoma City, where he was, I think that was like the peak of Paul George, right?
Yeah.
I think T-Mac was that. Not as much on the defensive end, in my opinion, but more on the offensive side, right? They had a similar physique, similar skill set. Because PG can handle and shoot too, right? If for all the younger people. Yeah. But T-Mac, I just feel T-Mac had so much more.
T-Mac was a killer.
He had an offensive arsenal that not a lot of players have, right?
His offensive arsenal, I put him in like the Carmelo.
T-Mac, but he's a bucket
Kobe,
getter, bro. He's
like
a certified bucket getter, bro. Like T-Mac is like. Dude, like T-Mac was cold, man. He's a cold cat out there.
My first ball shoes were T-Macs.
T-Mac Adidas, right? Yeah. Okay, so now we're on number 3 for me. I think, you know what? This is going to be a little more recent. For all you guys out there. But I think Marshawn Lynch, bro. Being a Seattle Seahawks fan, Marshawn Lynch, dude, like, I'm telling you right now, like, I still love him more than I love Russell Wilson. I still love him more than I love DK Metcalf. I loved him more than I loved Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. Guys, because there's just something about him, bro. Like, even if those guys were better for him, but dude, the way Marshawn Lynch just was, without Marshawn Lynch, Seattle Seahawks don't win a Super Bowl. They're not that. He was the engine, bro. He was the Seattle Seahawks.
Yep, he was.
The whole Legion of Boom. He brought the boom, bro. Like he was. Yeah. And people think Marshawn Lynch was just a physical runner, bro. Bro, Marshawn Lynch, have you seen this guy? He's able to cut back, juke, and he had speed on him too, man. And Marshawn Lynch was a complete back, bro. He could catch too, right? And he was he just had that aura, that presence about him, bro. It's like, it's beast mode. Like, that's one of the best. Like, they said Megatron's one of the best nicknames.
Yeah, beast mode.
Bro, beast mode became a verb because of him. Like, yo, you're going into beast mode, right? Like, Marshawn Lynch, I'm telling you, dude, like he embodied that, put that whole culture of competing and everything around him like that. He was that culture in Seattle, right? And I went to the game last year against San Fran where Marshawn Lynch came back, right?
Yeah.
And I swear to you, God, dude, man, I could not stop clapping and the whole stadium was shaking, bro, when he came out on the field. Like that's how big of a guy Marshawn Lynch is. He never talked. He used to Kyrie never talked to the media and stuff like that. But Marshawn Lynch didn't say much either. But he's just about that action, boss.
Bro, I loved Marshawn Lynch. I felt like that run that he had against the Saints, just after that year, just changed the entire culture of what the Seattle Seahawks were.
Dude, people forget about the run he had against Arizona too, where he just threw Patrick Peterson off the sideline. Get the fuck off me, right?
Iconic.
I definitely think Marshawn Lynch, man, he's definitely one of my favorite athletes of all time.
Yeah, but I mean, Marshawn Lynch, the thing I really appreciate about Marshawn Lynch, he did a lot of things that most running backs don't like doing. Like, he's a physical running back, but if like Patrick Willis was coming on a blitz, Marshawn Lynch was picking up that blitz and giving Russ time. There's not too many running backs that was going to pick up a blitz from Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis and hold their ground.
And those guys were the spirits they get. There's a video of Marshawn Lynch breaking Ray Lewis's ankles. Like that's Ray Lewis we're talking about.
Yeah.
Bro. Like I mean, like Marshawn Lynch, he's just iconic, bro. Like there's never gonna be another Marshawn Lynch.
No way. Like Marshawn is just different. I feel like the what Seattle had, all like that run they had is like, even though Marshawn only spoke like maybe like 10 words throughout the season, he just led by example. You knew what you were gonna get with Marshawn.
He was the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I mean, it didn't end well after the whole Super Bowl thing, but I mean,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Okay, my number four is the reason where like I got deeply involved in football and I just loved everything about this guy. My boy, Ed Reed from the Baltimore Ravens.
Ed Reed was nasty, dude. Ed Reed was nasty, man.
Oh, this guy was insane. I hated Baltimore because I remember they played Dallas like the first season I started getting into football. I'm like, who is this guy? He picked off the ball like 3 times and it was just nasty. Because it was essentially a receiver playing the safety position, but with just like freakish athletic ability and just super smart.
Dude, Ed Reed was a ball hawk out there, man. Like, you look at it, like, his ability to cover, like, not like just cover over the top and just be able to roam the center of the field and just, jump over there. Like, Ed Reed, bro, like you said, bro, he was different, bro. He's a different breed out there, safety, man. Like, you remember how Earl Thomas had that speed? We talked about Earl Thomas's speed and ability. Ed Reed had that, but Ed Reed had better on-ball skills.
Easily. It was legit throwing to a receiver, but that was playing on the defensive end.
And the thing is, he could take it back to the house too. Ed Reed had like, he would take it back to the house and all the time, right?
Isn't he the all-time leading safety in the safety position in interception turning into touchdowns? And he took punt.
I'm gonna Google online, but I don't.
I thought he was the number 1 safety with the most interceptions that he
Ed
took
Reed
into the house.
touchdowns. Ed Reed has 13 touchdowns. So
as a safety.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, man. Like that, definitely, bro. Ed Reed was the truth, and he played on probably one of the best college teams ever, the Miami Hurricanes. That not only had him, Sean Taylor, right? Antro Roll, Andre Johnson was on there, Jeremy Shockey. What's it called?
You're pretty impressive with this right now. I kind of
Clinton Portis was on that team. Clinton Portis was a sick running back too. But yeah, man, like definitely, I think Ed Reed was definitely.
I always feel like now that we see CBs and we see like more safeties, there aren't really like too many flashy like CBs or like safeties. Like back in the era, like
there's a few, man. There's like Jalen Ramsey. But when Sherman in his prime, Revis wasn't very flashy though in his prime. Revis was just that stone cold killer.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to say is that like I feel like this era is a lot more passing era. So when I see CBs and like safeties not getting interceptions compared to the era before, that was a lot more run oriented first. So you're not seeing the same opportunity of trying to pick these balls off, right? And he played against maybe the greatest era of quarterbacks of ever in football, maybe.
I think like, what was it called? I think Bill Belichick would always have to like have a separate game plan for Ed Reed, right?
Yeah.
That is right there's the ultimate amount of respect. And Bill Belichick has to, and Bill Belichick loved Ed Reed, right?
Yeah, he did.
And Bill Belichick always said that whenever Ed Reed, and Tom Brady said the same thing too, we feared Ed Reed,
Yeah.
right? Because Ed Reed was such a difference maker out there in the safety because he could cover any part of the field and
Yeah.
break a break on the ball that nobody else
Yeah.
could make, right?
Yeah. There's that clip. I think what you're alluding to is the NFL films where they're preparing for the 2012 or 2011.
It was one of the
game.
times they faced up in the playoffs, yeah.
And then they're like, they're in a discussion. They're like, "Where's Ed? We need to know where Ed is all the time. Do
At all
not throw
times.
Ed's way. Do not throw that way."
Yeah.
Like that's Tom Brady and Bill Belichick saying, "Do
Two
not
the
throw
best
that
coach
Ed's way."
quarterback pair of all time, and they're saying, "Watch out for Ed Reed. Don't throw it to Ed Reed's way."
Yeah.
Right? Like, that definitely is like much respect.
Shout out my boy Ed. Your turn.
Definitely, bro. Definitely. Number 4. I think I know who your last is gonna be. I think you know who my number 5 is gonna be too. I think it's
I don't state the obvious. They already know what this is.
I think we
man.
know who number 5 is gonna be. Now you might surprise me, but
Yeah.
for me it's gonna go back to basketball, man. Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was
Yeah,
probably.
you took mine, so we'll just.
Oh no, I thought we knew the next one.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like for me, like Kobe Bryant was
Yeah.
definitely one of my favorite players. Now I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I like number 8 Kobe more than I like number 24 Kobe.
A lot of people say 24 Kobe is like the real Kobe. I'm just saying.
I don't like, for me, like I just love number 8 Kobe because
I do too.
He dropped number 8. He dropped 81, right? I think number 8 Kobe was the peak Kobe where he was getting like 35 points, averaging 35 points a game. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right? Like Kobe 24, Black Mamba, yeah, he won the 2 titles and all that, and he really like just set that that he won his MVP wearing 24 as well. But I just think young Kobe, bro, he had the bounce, he had the fro, he had the
Bro,
swag,
Kobe.
he
Yeah.
had the song with Tyra Banks. I mean,
Yeah.
I think number 8 Kobe was just like, he was young, he was full of energy. He was something fresh, right? And he was fearless, bro. And rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. And I just think like Kobe Bryant was like, he defied so much. Like people say he was the closest thing we ever saw to Michael Jordan, right? And the thing that we like for us, we never got to see Michael Jordan play in his prime, right? But to see Kobe Bryant and Kobe Bryant like the whole Mamba, like I have the book Mamba Mentality, right? I've read it, and to understand like how Kobe Bryant like functioned as an athlete, where he would win if he wins a title, and then 2 weeks later, or like a couple weeks later, he's back in the gym working for the next year, right?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't happen, right? Like Kobe Bryant was so different, bro. Like, and people forget like Kobe Bryant was a social icon too, man. Like he was like he had the commercials, he had music videos. He was like, dude, he was it, man. Like he was like, I remember LeBron saying that like he went to China and he thought he was big. He went to China.
Oh yeah,
Kobe.
I remember this. Yeah.
He went to China with Kobe and he's like, oh, I'm not that big, bro, because Kobe
Yeah.
Bryant was bigger than me, right?
I think Kobe Bryant, like worldwide at that time when they were both at their peak, people loved. Like I think Kobe.
I
had
think
more of a fan
LeBron really got picked up kind of after Kobe kind of passed his prime, right?
Yeah.
Like, once you kind of got into the last decade, he still kind of took over Kobe Bryant, right?
Before the social media boom, Kobe was it worldwide.
Kobe was it, bro. Kobe was the biggest athlete in the world. at
Yeah,
one point in
and
time,
then
right?
once the social media thing came over, that's when like LeBron went like a bit more higher than Kobe.
Now that also helped that Kobe was kind of phasing at the end of
Yeah.
his career, right? But
Yeah.
like I said, man, like Kobe was it, dude. Man, I
Yeah.
know you're gonna say his name right now too, probably. And
Yeah.
let's see what you.
This is my fifth last one. So this is really hard for me because I mean I like Kobe, and then there's obviously the day one homie, which is like LeBron. And I love Kobe and I love LeBron. I love Kobe's work ethic and I love LeBron's just personality and just how he is as a human being. So I'm gonna have to go with LeBron here just because that's my day one, I guess.
Don't worry, that's my number 5-1-2. LeBron.
Yeah. LeBron, obviously, we know all the accolades.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to talk about the basketball perspective because we all know that. The number one thing I loved about LeBron James is me being this young kid that didn't know too much. He was always the perfect role model where there's no mistakes. The only mistake that I've ever seen him make was just like the Miami decision. Even that was not.
Just the way he made his decision. The way
Yeah.
he announced his decision was.
A lot of people thought that was bad, and even though that decision and all the money that was going to charity, so it's like, okay, we really can't blame him, but we're gonna nitpick because LeBron has such a flawless. He doesn't. You'll see LeBron's anything leak where he's like, oh, he was out last night with 2-3 girls. Never seen. Don't happen. LeBron James was caught smoking in. Oh, we don't see that.
LeBron James got caught on a gun charge. No,
it just doesn't happen. The guy is flawless. I feel like he embraces like the acceptance of being a role model to like kids and like people that look up to him. That's the one thing I appreciate about this guy is like he is just a good role model to so many people that if you look at him, you're like, yo, that's a good role model. Like that's somebody I can look up to,
100%.
and that's something I can do, and that's who I inspire to be.
1000%. And like, I agree with you. That's my number 5 is LeBron James, right? Number 5, probably my most favorite athlete of all time is LeBron James, right?
Yeah.
Where being a kid, just looking like you see. I remember like the first time I really got an NBA video game was NBA 2005 for PS2 with Carmelo Anthony on the cover. Shout out Carmelo.
One of the greatest NBA games of all time.
One of my iconic, right? And I remember like I never really got into. This is how I really got into basketball. I started playing the game, right? I'm like, maybe I'll start watching it, right?
Yeah.
And this was like LeBron's first year in the league and stuff like that, and like I just started following him going forward, right? And man, like you said, LeBron, like this game speaks for itself. Like his game is his game, his play is his play, his accolades on the court, his accolades on the court, right?
Yeah.
But you said, like he always says, I'm more than an athlete.
Yeah.
He's more than an athlete, bro. He's not even an athlete, bro. He's just LeBron James. Like he's an athlete, he's a philanthropist, he's a role model, he's a business guy, he's everything, man. And the fact like LeBron is such a great role model, like you said, because he's never been in trouble with legal issues. He always gives back to the community. He promotes social justice. Of course, spot on, and he's got personality, bro. Yeah. Like you know how we say like athletes don't have personality or athletes are run of the mill. Like LeBron, he learned taking from Allen Iverson, right? He is who he is, and he's comfortable in his own skin. Now, there has been times where he has not always done that, but that's everybody, right? But for majority of the time, LeBron James is LeBron James, and he's comfortable with who he is.
Yeah.
Right? By him saying, I'm the best basketball player in the world. Well, of course, we know that, right?
Yeah.
Like LeBron, and the thing with this is LeBron gets the most amount of love, but he also gets the most amount of hate too. Yeah. Right? And he's such a polarizing figure. And the thing that impresses me the most is LeBron came into the medium spot when he was 16 years old.
Yeah.
How old is he now? He's 36?
Yeah.
Not
around
30.
there.
He's 30 something.
30, yeah,
think about this. He came in 2002. It's almost been 20 years. He's gonna be in the social media spotlight. Media spotlight, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. It's crazy how this man, the whole world seen him go from 18-year-old kid, join the Cleveland Cavaliers to now being he's the champion of the Los Angeles Lakers and everything in between.
Global icon.
Building a school, giving back to the community, standing up for this, social injustice, standing up for, Black Lives Matter, whatever. LeBron, there's a reason they call him the king, man. He's the king of the sports world. Like, I get it. There might be bigger athletes in Europe that are Ronaldo, Messi, those guys, but globally, bro, nobody is LeBron James. Like, there will never ever be another LeBron James prototype, nothing like that. Nobody will ever come close to be anything like LeBron James on or off the court, right? On the court, you're not going to find a guy who's going to be built like him ever again. Off the court, there's never going to be an athlete with this much public scrutiny on him who will ever be this squeaky clean. Tiger Woods was going to be that. He had his personal problems. Kobe Bryant went through personal problems, right? Everybody goes through something, right? Whether it's warranted or not, but LeBron has just always been that guy where he's done everything in the right way. LeBron has done everything. He's almost I'm not gonna say he's perfect, because nobody's perfect, right? But he's the closest thing, dude. And I think I think any kid that wants to get into sports, or any kid that wants to, have a role model, I think LeBron James is the one to start off with, because LeBron, look where he came from, man. And the thing is, he never left his friends behind. You know what I mean? Like, he brought in his buddy Maverick Carter, who's now being successful. Rich Paul, right? All these guys that were part of his inner circle before are now being successful, whether it's in their own business ventures and stuff like that. And that's something that like shows you the type of guy he is. He took his friends with him from the hood and brought them with him, right? That's something that's unreal.
That is just like ultimate. Like, I fuck with you guys, and I'm not just saying that. I'm just not saying that just cause, like, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people that you know personally, maybe where like you might have been friends with them, but once they get whatever they have or like whatever their desires or whatever,
success changes people. Success and money changes people, and it hasn't changed LeBron.
Yeah, after that, to them, you're like, yo, what's up? And then they they don't have the same vibe as they used to, and like they have like a different aura to them.
Yeah, your ego gets pumped up, right?
100%.
And LeBron, yeah, he's the best. He's probably one of the richest athletes in the world, but he's still, people always say he's still LeBron. Like, he's still LeBron from what he was when he was 18.
Yep.
Right?
The ultimate, like, I feel like it's whatever your goal is of being successful is, right? Everybody has different goals of being successful. So once you do reach the level you think as, and you have the ability to the people that were with you from day one, and you know what they've done for you, and you know what kind of relationship you have, you could be like, hey, like, yo, what ideas do you guys have? Because now I'm here, like, I can support you. I want you to.
I have the platform now where I can see how your ideas are, right? And you should. You're right, man. Like, success does change people. Like, if you become successful and you forget the people that helped you out on the way out there, then, I mean, I'm not gonna like. It's very hard because you can never forget where you came from, right? At the end of the day, man, if wherever you go in your trials, wherever your life takes you and stuff, that you can never forget where you came from. Like, I will never ever forget that I'm from Surrey, British Columbia, Canada, right? That's where I'm from. Like that, no matter where I go in my life, no matter where I am, wherever the thing called life, the game called life takes me, I'm never gonna forget that I'm from Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. That's where I'm from. I'm never gonna forget the people that were with me, that I've grown up with, right? I'm never forget those people. And likewise to you, man. Like, you never forget like those people, and you should never let success change you and dictate you, and forget who helped you when you had nothing, right?
100%.
Yeah, man.
That's just real right there.
That's real talk. We don't talk more than we talk more than sports. We talk about real life situations too.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Let's go review your list. So you had
Marcus Naslund. I had
T-Mac, Ed Reed.
You had LeBron
James.
Who am I missing? This is hilarious. Who did I have? I had a second player.
Shit.
Wow.
Oh, Michael Vick. Yeah.
Michael Vick. Yeah.
How could you forget? Now, for me, it was Marcus Naslund, first hockey player I ever fell in love with.
You had Marshawn Lynch. Kobe Bryant.
Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James.
Yeah.
So I mean,
we'd love to hear from you guys to see.
Let's see what other people's top 5 athletes of all time are in regard, whatever sport, soccer, basketball, football, whatever, baseball. I know. Hey, there's a lot of people that love baseball out there too, right? Like, I know. I'm going on the baseball thing too. There's a couple of baseball players that I love too growing up. Like,
I do too. Like, but I can't.
like I'm not even gonna lie, dude. Like, I loved Derek Jeter. I thought Derek Jeter was
Jeter's the OG, bro. Love
Derek Jeter was so cool. He used to wear the Jordans on the baseball field, and I was like cool as hell.
I have a rival of theirs that I used to like, if you can guess.
David Big Poppy.
Yeah, my boy Big Poppy.
Yeah, dude, Big Poppy. He has some swag too. Even like the guys like. These obscure guys that nobody will remember. Like, there's this one pitcher he played for the Marlins. His name was Dontrell Willis. I remember
Dontrell Willis, sick.
He had the craziest windup, but he had these fat diamond studs in his ears and stuff like that. He was sick. And then there was like
Ichiro Suzuki.
Ichiro was another one too. Like, I tell you, man, like this. I used to be a big baseball guy too.
I did too, because when you're younger, I feel like I just wanted to be like this savant of sports. So I'm watching everything that comes on TV.
I used to watch baseball all the time, bro. I used to watch
the Mariners. The Mariners were the local
Toronto
TV
Blue Jay games when I was like
Roy Halladay.
Roy Halladay, and those when the Blue Jays had those black jerseys, not the blue ones that all these people have now, bro. The Toronto Blue Jays had a black jersey before.
Vernon Wells,
bro. Yeah, man. Dude, I'm telling you right now, those Toronto Blue Jays jerseys are so sick. The black ones.
OGs, those are the OGs.
But yeah, man, like those, like I'm telling you right now, man, like people have so many different athletes they love, like even like people like Usain Bolt or whatever, right? Whatever, man. Like, people love. That's the one thing about sports. You can like any sport and have 5 favorite athletes that are totally different than somebody else, right?
Yep.
But yeah, man, what the last thing we want to talk about was, of course, a little bit more of a serious thing.
For our people.
It's for our people, yeah. So as
Yeah.
you guys all know, in the Punjabi community, there's been a whole bunch of support from, with our own community, right? About what's going on. We just had the world's biggest peaceful protest of 250
Peaceful.
million.
Peaceful.
Operative word is peaceful there, people. 250 million people protesting for the Kisan rallies in India. Now, me and you were talking before this right here. 250 million people, yeah, it doesn't get as much media attention as you would think it would be. And I don't know about you, but I think that's kind of upsetting to me, where it's just like, all these other social initiatives that are more than deserving of getting their public shine as well. But when it's our people, you don't see other people posting about it. You just see our people posting about it.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how, it's on the sports aspect of it, like, we don't have athletes or that many athletes in the Punjabi community, and they're out there, they're doing it, but we don't have very many out there in the public image on the athlete side that can express our platform and stuff. So that's why I know, like, from you and me, like, I think even though we have a platform through, like, this podcast where we can explain to people, like, hey, like, this is what's going on in our community, this is why it's important to us, and this is what the message is, right? So, I mean, like I said, if you want to,
my thing is that, like we were talking about it earlier, it feels like it's only the Sikhi community that's really about this. And for me, like, I'm a big time Bollywood fan. Like most people that do know, I'm a big time Bollywood. I've been keeping up with it since I was a child.
Yeah, man, you grew up watching Bollywood more than before you watch Hollywood. You watch Bollywood, right?
Yeah, but like when I've seen all these actors and actresses that I've grown up, like, kind of like I've seen them almost in every movie, when they're not speaking on the issue, it's like, why is that? Our people are in need here. I'm not saying like you have to be like, just get up in there and just like, we just need some sort of support from people that have platforms that are higher than just like us and other people that are talking about the issue.
I think the biggest thing from my perspective is, like, I want to see people from, like, other communities speak up and say that you stand with us, right? That you stand with us, and you understand, like, this is not just something that is like a small thing, right? Like, I think, like, some people just kind of brush it on the rug. They're from other cultures, whatever, because, it's just farming. Well, people don't understand that farming creates food. Food allows people to live, right? Like, it sounds kind of like basic, but like, this is such an important point.
Basic human rights.
It's a basic human right. This gives people that, like, we would not be in Canada. I would not be sitting here in Canada if it wasn't for farmers. If my family didn't have the ability to farm. It's our ancestry, man. It's how we were brought up, man. It's how we would not be out here without farming, right?
Yep, 100%.
And for the government, and like you said, bro, like, the fact that our people are protesting peacefully. The operative word is peacefully. There's no riots. Nobody knows no gunfare. There's nothing like that. The fact that you saw all these things from all over the world. I saw from Australia to England to the United States to Canada, whether it's Vancouver, Toronto, wherever, right?
Yeah.
It's peaceful. You know what I saw? You know what I saw in Toronto this week that really pissed me off? I saw something on Instagram where people were petitioning a complaint because they're honking.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that. Yep.
They were honking horns too loud. Yeah. Right? Well, because they're protesting peacefully about something that's actually important, right? Yep. You don't, like, I hate to say it, but like, you see other movements, stuff like that, and you don't hear a peep from anybody complaining, right? But when it's something that matters to our people, right? Yeah. And you think about it, right? You think about how important it is to our people, right? About what this means, how much we give back to Canada, how much we give back to people, right? Yeah. We don't get the same reciprocation back.
Facts. I feel
you think about right? Like, people, like, all these people come to our Vaisakhi parade. They all come and eat our food. They all come here and enjoy our culture and our things like that. A lot of people don't stand with us when we need us the most, right?
Yeah.
Like,
quickly. I mean, definitely, like, everything you said is just like totally on point. Another thing that I was gonna quickly want to say is, like, I feel like it's not a racist issue. It's not, but it kind of sucks that we have, like, it's only us talking about it. And like I've been telling my friends, and there's a lot of people, like I feel like we follow different like communities. We have white friends, we have black friends, we have all sorts of friends, right? And there's like I've seen like a couple of my friends where they've gone above and beyond, where they're posting things like in detail, like this is what it is. If you don't, we'll educate you. Here's like the entire post. And it's like, are people just choosing to ignore it, or are they?
I think you know what it is, like, because like you, man, like I have friends, white friends, Asian friends, black friends. I have friends from all, and that's the way I was brought up. Like I was brought up to not just have all brown friends or hang with one certain group of people, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, and I've seen people that are not Punjabi post about this issue, right? I've seen it, and it's awesome, but you don't see the vast majority of it when other issues pop up. And that's what, like, I think that's what's bothering people in our culture is like, okay, we're the first people that when other issues go on, whether it's in Canada or anywhere in the world, we stand up and stand with those people, right? Like Black Lives Matter, Punjabi people are there, right? Or whenever there's a natural disaster, people are donating to the Gurdwara. Or people from Khalsa Aid or whatever are donating, right?
Yeah.
But when we're going through stuff right now, you don't see anybody standing up with us, right? And I think that would just help this issue help even more. Where
definitely
we're not asking people, like I'm not asking people to post everything on social media. I'm just asking people to understand why it's such a big issue in our community. Why people are so outraged right now. It's because, like I said before in my last video, you're taking the people that feed you, and you're basically cutting their hand off. You're basically saying, even though you feed us, we don't care. We want to take from you, right?
Yeah.
And it's like it says racism doesn't matter in Canada, right? Well, I've said this before, is like there is racism in Canada, especially towards people of our skin color, because we have bad stigmatisms on ourselves, right? And we do get profiled out there. Like I don't know about you, but there's been times where I've crossed the border, right? And I've gotten pulled over for secondary for no reason, or I've been pulled over before for absolutely no reason, right? And it's not like saying like, oh, Canada's a horrible country, and like Canada's the best country in the world. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else in the world but Canada. But racism is a real thing, bro. Like racism and all this stuff's real, and we as people of a visible minority have to go through different hurdles that certain people don't have to go through.
Definitely.
Right?
And the last thing I want to quickly touch up on is so think of it this way. Like I feel like colorism is still a big issue. I feel like a lot of us feel like it's not, but like again it is, because the problem is here, if it's a white issue, white people stick to their people. If it's a brown issue, we kind of stick to our people, etc. Whatever race you come from.
Yeah.
When you go into a sports arena and you're watching a team play and they win the championship, for that 5, 10, 15 seconds of like when you're cheering and everybody's going crazy, you forget in that instance what a race, what person's background is. You're so happy that you're like, yeah, we won. And you see a person that's brown, might be white, and you're just both happy. And for that 15, 20 seconds, you're not looking at it as like, that person's brown, that person's white, that person's black, and you're united. You're united as one.
That's facts, bro. And that's the thing. I think sports, the most amazing thing about sports is this: is like, it doesn't matter if you're brown, you're white, you're black, you're Asian, whatever, right? You guys all, for example, like when the Canucks made the Stanley Cup Finals, you can see people. You saw people from all walks of life coming together and celebrating, right? You see people come together. You see. Like when, certain teams win titles, you see these places just come together as one. And that's what we need, bro, in this world. 100%. Like you need to see people unite. Now, I'm not saying like, you're not saying like one race is better than the other. Of course we're not. Everybody's equal. Everybody's equal as people, man. We have, even though there's bad people in everywhere in life, right? There's people that everybody has their flaws, right? But the one thing about sports that is so amazing, like you said, we're all unified as one. We're all one person, right? And the thing about that is so crazy is, like you said, when you win, you don't think, or when you're in the middle of a thing, you don't think about race. You don't think about color of skin. You just think about, oh my God, these guys won, or oh my God, what did these guys do? Why did we lose? Oh my God. Like you don't think about all that extra stuff that people think about. You don't think about that stuff. And that right there in itself is the essence of sports and what makes sports so great.
Definitely. I feel like, that's like if we can come together and forget about where we come from when we're cheering for the same thing of like, oh, let's have the Lakers win a championship, and we're all like in together, all colors, and we're standing for the same thing. When I see my white friends needing help, I should be there. Like, if they educate me, I share, and I'm there supporting them. My black friends, same thing. My Asian friends, same thing. We just all need to be one, because at the end of the day, we're all just human beings.
Exactly, bro. Like, it's not about like, oh, these guys are against us. Like, we don't like. No. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's just like it would help us even more in what we're going
Yep.
through right now. That if we had the
Definitely.
support of those people, that's it. Like,
Yep.
it's just like, if you guys stand with us, it just shows how much it really means to us, right? Like, because if you think about it, like, what it comes down to is like, we give back, our community gives back so much, right, to other people, right? But yet we're going through something that's really, really like one of the most difficult times out there right now, and it's just our people standing with our people, right? And that's something that it's unfortunate, but it's also just people don't know, right? And I think that's what what we're doing right now, having a conversation about it. We're not berating other people.
Conversation is
We're not saying one person's better than the other person. We're just saying like, this is what's going on in our community, and we just wish people would support us.
Yep.
Right, and that's it. But yeah, man, that was it. That was a real life talk, and that was a real good sports talk too.
Yes, sir.
So, but yeah, man, like I said, thanks guys for listening. We will be posting this up, and like I said, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Apple Music, Apple Podcast, all that fun stuff, and take care and stay safe.
Peace.